Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to Africa Focus, where we bring you news from across the continent right here on Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. Start interacting with us on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya, Joel Chacha M on Twitter, and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 444 111. But first, here are stories making headlines. Refugees in Sudan from Ethiopia's Tigray conflict dismiss Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's declaration of victory in their northern region. Authorities in northeast Nigeria's Borno state begin returning around 3,000 people to their homes years after they were displaced by jihadist violence. Boko Haram fighters have so far killed 110 people in northeast city of Maiduguri. Refugees in Sudan from Ethiopia's Tigray conflict dismissed Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's declaration of the victory in their northern region. Ahmed declared military operations in Tigray completed after the army claimed control of the region capital Mekelle, which is a city of 500,000, before the conflict broke out 3 weeks ago. Abiy, who is last year's Nobel Peace Prize winner, announced on November 4th he had ordered military operations against leaders of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which is the ruling party that dominated Ethiopian politics for nearly 3 decades before he came into power in 2018.
I do not believe this news that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed claimed control over the Tigray region capital Mekelle. We only believe news that is broadcast on our radio station, Tigray Radio, since the other stations work to promote Abiy Ahmed and not the president of the people, leader of the Tigray region, Debrestar Gebre Michael. So we haven't received any such news yet.
There's the first 5 of the classrooms on another site in the camp. We have another 5. There'll be 2 shifts of about 40 students each, so in this initial phase we'll just help 800 people.
Our focus now on matters politics. Over 5,000 people in the IDP camp near Maiduguri are voting in the local government elections in Nigeria. Voters and officials say they are complying with the measures to limit the spread of COVID-19.
COVID-19 is real, and people should avoid all this explanation that COVID-19 is not around. I will advise them to accept on what medical experts have said to distance ourselves in conducting the election. We are very much enlightened by NOAA and other agencies in order to bring social distances among the people, and people are very much aware, and I definitely believe that they respond to the advice.
Most of us, we have our face masks, and then we have our sanitizers in our vehicles. Before coming down, we have to rub our hands with it. So almost we are following the COVID-19 protocol.
Wannan abun da fari ma an riga an wayar mana da kai. An ce mu sa takunkumi a hancinmu, mu wanke hannayenmu, mu daina cunkusu, kuma mu ringa addu'a. Idan ba abun da addu'a ya bari, muna addu'a insha Allah Ubangiji zai kare mu.
Still our focus on matters health. Senegal's rapid prevention measures may not by themselves explain the sharp decline of COVID-19 in the West African country. This according to the director of Senegalese Center for Health Emergency Operations, Dr. Abdoulaye Bousso, who wonders whether herd immunity was quietly emerged. The West African country of 16 million people has recorded about 16,000 cases and 331 deaths since the first case of coronavirus was recorded in March. Like many African countries, Senegal would have racked up many thousands of deaths had it experienced an outbreak similar to the kind of that ravaged in the Europe and the United States. Senegal is one of the model countries in terms of implementing COVID-19 prevention measures, and it has reaped the benefits, a World Health Organization official in Senga said during a virtual press conference in this month.
moment we have a situation that is going in the right direction. We can say we have more than 15,000 cases, but we have today in our 14 regions, 6 that have not had any cases for more than 2 weeks, and that is something remarkable. The number of cases continues to decrease since week 32, both in terms of numbers, in terms of serious cases, and in terms of mortality. Very early on, the highest levels of government, the health staff, there were strategies that were very quickly put in place in terms of care capacity, rapid detection, to have laboratory tests within 24 hours, to be able to isolate contact cases, to be able to develop care centers, but also this activity of communication with the populations who, even if we are now seeing a reduction, at one point really got involved in the barrier measures. I think there's an argument that really comes to the fore. It's the question of this immunity, which in relation to certain religious events that we've had to go beyond the start of the academic year, we think it's also an argument. We're in the process of doing studies on the issue through seroprevalence surveys, but it may also be an element that can explain the fact that Senegal is less affected at the moment. This is somewhat the flip side of the results we have, because the population thinks that the disease is over, and today we see what is happening in Europe, in the United States, with this famous second wave, for which we cannot say that it will not happen to us. So we continue to insist to the population in our communications for the respect of these barrier measures. Personally, I don't think there is much point in screening for asymptomatic cases. We stress our healthcare system, we stress our laboratories, we overload them. Today, we really need to focus on the sick, and we have taken this option in Senegal to focus on the sick and the vulnerable. That's what makes it possible for us to detect these people and to take care of them. All the other people who are not symptomatic, who could even carry the virus, I think that we can reach them through communication, through awareness raising, and today it allows us to avoid stressing our health system.
In 10 years, the revolution and the establishment of freedom of expression have transformed the Tunisian media landscape. Bloggers who once censored under Ben Ali have the news sites with a street presence, and the public channel Watanya hosts political debates on the air after decades of propaganda under the dictatorship. Take a look.
Created in 2004 and censored from the outset, Nawat was one of the main opposition blogs run from the Netherlands by Sami Ben Gabia, an activist who returned to Tunisia after the revolution. The site was not directly accessible to Tunisia, and it was only able to survive thanks to the indigenous system for circumventing censorship, with dozens of mirrors on site to prevent the engineers of Ben Ali's regime from completely removing its content.
Before the revolution, we were info activists against mainly the dictatorship, but especially against Ben Ali's censorship. After the revolution, we became a media committed to the cause we defended before, civil liberties and human rights. Soundbite 1.
The first amateur videos of anti-regime demonstration at the end of 2010 were published and broadcast on sites and blogs like Nawat before being picked up by the international channels. Today, Nawat has become an associative media that produces a website, documentaries on the environment or social justice, or a paper magazine.
We
can deal with the subjects that make people angry, subjects like transitional justice, just as monitoring protest movements and social movements, denouncing certain industries regarding the environment, but also always denouncing police abuses, police repression, etc. We are dealing with these subjects. We believe that they are very important, even crucial subjects.
National television station Watanya has undergone a long transformation since 2011. Under Ben Ali, the television news almost always started with reports of the presidential activist, which were transmitted ready for broadcast from the presidential palace. It has since become a public information tool, which has regained an audience long lost to the international channels such as Al Jazeera.
In other Tunisian media, there are the constraints of economic censorship and a different pressure from business lobbies, but there are also restrictions relating to political issues, which are the interests of the bosses of these media as well. There is no law, But here at Nawat, we choose our subjects totally, freely, according to our editorial line, and the themes that we deal with are recurring basis.
During the last election campaign in 2019, for the presidential and the legislative elections, the channel hosted well-organized and very well-attended debates that gave each of the candidates a chance.
Now, it's an editorial line that relates to public service. So, what we're interested in now is proximity. It is the citizen. What do they expect from a news program on a public television channel? A news report that is watched by more than 2 million viewers.
These exchanges, which were welcome to shed light on this unpredictable election with their fragmented political offers, were welcome by many viewers. The broadcasting gender stress on the impartiality of the public, which distinguished itself from many private channels exploited by the owners or managers. Robert Uma, Switch TV News.
Well, time to take a breather. Stay with us here on Africa Focus. Still to come. "114 infected daily as HIV rate takes downward trend in Kenya." Welcome back to Africa Focus. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. Moving on, each year on 1st December, the world commemorates World AIDS Day. People around the world unite to show support for people living with HIV/AIDS to remember those who have died from AIDS-related illness. Each World AIDS Day focuses on a specific theme, which this year is Global Solidarity, Shared Responsibility. This year's theme joins a growing list of challenges that World AIDS Day has alerted people globally.
Founded in 1988, World AIDS Day was the first ever international day for global health. Every year, United Nations agencies, governments and civil societies join hands to campaign around specific themes relating to HIV, including awareness-raising activities around the globe. Many people wear a red ribbon, the universal symbol of awareness of, support for and solidarity with people living with the virus. These international events highlight the current state of HIV as it continues to be a major global public health problem, having claimed almost 33 million lives to date. However, with increasing access to effective HIV prevention, diagnosis, treatment and care, HIV infection has become a manageable chronic health condition, enabling people living with it to live longer and healthier lives. COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of uncertainty across the globe, including for people living with HIV and AIDS and other viruses. And managing more than a single virus has become a great challenge for many, especially those living in informal settlements like this one. Though there is no direct connection with the two viruses, people living with HIV and AIDS have been categorized as those with underlying conditions when it comes to COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, they must be on a good diet.
Good nutrition is very important because, one, it improves the quality of life by also slowing down the progression of the HIV virus itself. So good nutrition, it increases the chances of person living, and also it reduces the death rate. So good nutrition plays the major key role in fighting the HIV virus and also in fighting the COVID-19.
COVID-19 pandemic has, however, brought about uncountable tribulations, including the country's dwindling economy. Beth Akenye has been living with HIV for the last 5 years.
Hiyo maisha ni ngumu, saa zingine unapata tu kidogo ya kukula. Iko vitu kutoka yangu. Niseme pesa hakuna, unapata kidogo, una manage, unagawa kidogo ya kulipa nyumba, kidogo unagawa ya kukula.
There were an estimated 38 million people living with HIV at the end of 2019. Of this population, not everybody is able to access HIV testing, treatment and care. Notably, the 2018 super fast-track targets for reducing new pediatric HIV infections to 40,000 was not achieved. Global targets for 2020 are at risk of being missed unless rapid action is taken. This is according to the World Health Organization, WHO.
The under 5s, the pregnant, also the HIV, you talk to a client, they come. The reason why they've got rapid weight loss, they tell you, due to work, I was stopped at work. And this is the person who is the breadwinner of the family. We should also focus on food security, which plays a major role. But in our setup of the community, there are some families, it's hard for them to survive.
Due to gaps in HIV services, 690,000 people died from HIV-related causes in 2019, and 1.7 million people were newly infected. Key population groups and their sexual partners accounted for over 60% of all new HIV infections globally. Among the age group of 15 to 49 years, an estimated 62% in 2019. Over 2/3 of all people living with HIV live in the WHO Africa region, estimated to be 25.7 million people. While HIV is prevalent among the general population in this region, an increasing number of new infections occur among key population groups. WHO defines key populations as those who are at increased HIV risk, like men who have sex with men, people who inject drugs, prisoners, sex workers and their clients, and transgender people. In Eastern Europe and Central Asia, Asia and the Pacific, Western and Central Europe, North America, Middle East and North Africa, these groups accounted for over 95% of new HIV infections in each of the regions. 30-year-old Maureen Ochieng, a peer educator in Kibra, has been living with the virus for a decade now.
Kwa na mimba nikaenda kliniki kama kawaida. Ukienda kliniki mama mjamzito lazima upimwe, na sio optional, na kwanga lazima. So nilipimwa nikapatikana ni HIV positive. Though haikuwa rahisi, haikuwa safari rahisi. Ilikuwa ngumu, nilikuwa on denial for long, but nilifika mahali nikasema hapana, naweza kufa na sitaki kukufa. Ilibidi nijikubali nianze kutumia madawa.
Dental tu, yani hivi juu hata mimi nilinia kwanza nilijua niko na TB. Sasa after hapo ndio nikajua sasa kumbe niko nini.
COVID-19 pandemic has not only affected HIV patients financially but also socially and psychologically.
Sisi ndo tuna sensitize kuhusu hiyo COVID, what to do. Inafaa sisi ndo tuambie watu unafaa kufanya nini ili ujiepuke na hii ugonjwa. So haikutu affect vile sababu tuko kazi. Ni vile tu mentally imeni affect kiasi cause nikisikia wakitangaza hata kwa TV ati ukiwa na underlying condition ati ikikupata inaweza kupeleka chini haraka. So mentally nimekuwa worried.
Stigma is one of the major challenges those living with the virus still experience in this day and age.
Nilikuwa naishi na watu hapa, nimeishi na madada wangu. Nimekaa nao for long. Na sasa venye walikuwa naanza kunipea madharau nini hivi, ukimwangeleza na kujibu venye nataka, niliamua kubaki peke yangu na mtoto.
Know yourself, who you are, what do you want, who needs you. Huyu mwenye anakustigmatize ana play role gani kwa life yako?
Just like anyone else, they too have the right to love, be loved and respected in all spheres of life.
Sisi wenye tunaishi na virusi tunafaa kujiprotect during sexual intercourse, na hizo vitu tunatumia ile tu mtoto sasa. Hizo vitu tunatumia, wengine wana complain aziko standard vizuri, zingine zina burst on the process. Sasa inawaweka at risk. Maybe your partner is HIV negative, anapata hiyo risk. Sasa inabidi ameze PEP na hakuwa ready for PEP.
Sijui ni kwa nini wametoa. Na hiyo pia unajua inasaidia kwa mwili sana. Sijui kwa nini sahihi ipatikane.
Septrin is used for immune-depressed patients to prevent opportunistic infections. HIV can be diagnosed through rapid diagnostic tests that have greatly facilitated diagnosis and linkage with treatment and care. HIV self-tests are increasingly available and provide an effective and acceptable alternative way to increase access to people who are not reached for HIV testing through facility-based services. To date, there is no cure for HIV infection. However, effective antiretroviral drugs, ARVs, can control the virus and help prevent onward transmission to other people. And according to WHO, at the end of 2019, 25.4 million people were accessing ARV therapy. Between 2000 and 2019, new HIV infections fell by 39%, and HIV-related deaths fell by 51%, with 15.3 million lives saved due to ARV treatment. Safi Godanamamo, Switch TV.
Thank you so much, Safi Godanamamo. Away from that, and now focus in Nigeria. Boko Haram fighters have so far killed 110 people in northeast city of Maiduguri. 43 of those killed being farm workers as they worked in rice fields near the Maiduguri. Meanwhile, the governor of the state of Borno, Babagana Umara Zulum, has held a mass burial for the 43 farm workers killed by Boko Haram fighters in rice fields near Maiduguri. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned the attack, saying Nigeria has been wounded by the killings.
The assailants tied up the agricultural workers and slit their throats in the village of Koshobe. The victims are laborers from Sokoto State in the northwestern Nigeria, roughly 1,000 kilometers away, who had traveled to the northeast to find work. There were 60 farmers who were contracted to harvest paddy in the rice fields. 43 were slaughtered, with 6 injured. 8 others are missing, presumed to have been kidnapped by the jihadists. The bodies were taken to Zabamari village 2 kilometers away, where they would be kept ahead of burial. Last month, Boko Haram militants slaughtered 22 farmers working on their irrigation fields near Maiduguri in 2 separate incidents. Boko Haram and ISWAP, its IS-linked rival, have increasingly targeted loggers, herders and fishermen in their violent campaigns, accusing them of spying and passing information to the military and the local militia fighting them. At least 36,000 people have been killed in the jihadist conflict, which has displaced around 2 million since 2009. The violence has also spread into neighboring Niger, Chad and Cameroon, promoting a regional military coalition to fight the militants.
As COVID-19 battered through the economy, many businesses are affected, but moving companies seem to benefit as Kenyans are forced to change their normal lives. Many changed to accommodate their then economic state, as some relocated for other reasons like adjusting to having working remotely. Take a look.
Request a quote from us.
Relocating services have been embraced by Kenyans, and one of the big beneficiaries of the shake-up that was brought out by COVID-19 are the moving companies.
Surprisingly, relocation services was not affected during this COVID period. In fact, most people moved. We had influx of movements from now where they usually stay to storage facilities, most of the people to storage. Of course, there are some people who moved from the hotspot areas like Kilimani, Kilelesho, to far-flung areas outside of Nairobi, like Ruiru. There are many people moving to Ruiru, many people moving to Kitengela, Rongai. Yeah, but basically, the business was not affected during this period.
With more companies laying off their employees and cutting down incomes, Kibet says a good number sought refuge at their rural homes, while others settled for storage facilities relocating companies were offering.
People are looking for spaces in their homes for extra office work. Those who are moving to storage, of course, they were moving out of Nairobi for some time. They have started coming back. We have now cases of people asking for their items back from the storage, from our warehouses to now the homes they're coming back to. Work is resuming normally right now. Yes, but some people are affected, yes. In fact, we had to slash on on our costings during that period for most of our clients. We've moved them before, and we understood that there were issues that had happened.
Even as the gig economy thrived, some of its target clients had worries of their safety amid the coronavirus scare.
Yeah, many people had reservations about the safety measures we've taken. Of course, many people wouldn't want to move based on they don't know where they're moving to. But now, after the first 1 month, normalcy in terms of the movement returned back.
At least 2 million Kenyans were forced into poverty, according to the World Bank. But Kenyans' resilience to challenges sailed them through the waves of the economic crisis brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Reporting for Switch TV, my name is Joan Cotton.
Well, that's all here on Africa Focus. My name is Joel Church, and our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. Until next time, do have yourself a great weekend.